Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today's video is going to cover the sighting system that I chose to go with on my Glock G48. This is my everyday carry. I do carry it most of the time, with the exception when my clothing or shirt, more specifically, that I am wearing prints too much for the G48. I will go with my G43. But getting back on track with the subject for today. For my G48, I did get a really good deal on these RMRcc. RMRcc is an optic made by Trijicon. Comes in several different variants. The ones that are usually most common are the 3.25 MOA, which would be the RMO6, or the 6.5 MOA, which would be the RMO7. So I got a really good deal on this. It was about 350 bucks. I went ahead and picked it up. And then I decided that I did want to go ahead and throw it on my G48. As you see from the side profile, you have minimal overhang, pretty much just what you would have with the G19. So a little bit about the RMRcc. It is just a smaller version, both length, height, and width, from the big brother RMR, which you can see side by side here on my G19. You get to see pretty much all those dimensions there. So does not have the same footprint as the full-size RMR. I had this one milled at Battleworks, which a couple of different reasons that I chose them. So first and foremost, I usually use Hex Precision, but Hex Precision does not mill RMRccs. They only do hollow suns. There were other places, but the big thing that drew me in to Battleworks was the fact that they go ahead and cut 190 deep. The industry standard is 125, or eighth of an inch, and the lower that you can go, obviously it allows you to have lower iron sights, also keeping it closer to the bore axis. So got this done at Battleworks. Was very happy with the work. Not only to have it cut, but I also had it finished in black nitride. So complete slide refinishing, depth cut at 190, and very, very, very happy with it. So one of the things that I was trying to determine when I chose Battleworks was what I was going to do about iron sights. So me personally, I am a huge proponent for backup iron sights. You know, electronics fail. So whether that be from workmanship or whether that be from battery life, I'm just huge on having backup iron sights. What I do not like is the setup where you have the dovetail cut in front of the optic, and that's where you put your iron sights. Now, I know that there's many people definitely smarter and better trained than me, completely vouch for having the irons in front of the red dot sight. I just don't like it. Any of my other optics that I have cut, as you can see here, like on my G19, I make sure that I maintain them, that the irons can be mounted behind the red dot. Big part of that is aesthetics. The other part about it is that it just doesn't really bother me having the irons behind. I know that Aaron Cowan over there at Sage Dynamics has created a very good video of why you should put the irons in front of the red dot sight, and that's great. But just for me, I do prefer them behind the red dot sight. So going back to the G48, so Battleworks cuts this 190 deep, which would be 65 thousandths deeper than the industry standard 125. Next step was determining what rear sight I'm going to use, since I do not have a dovetail cut in front of it. So and one of the Facebook Glock groups, individual, which I can't remember his name, mentioned the Parker Mountain Machine IDRS, which is a iron sights that slip in on top or in this channel here of the RMRcc, which also works on full-size RMRs and SROs. it sits in place, it shrouds the emitter housing, and then you insert these two small screws on each side of the gun, which you then screw into the IDRS and keeps it secure. What you get is being able to have iron sights without having to have an additional cut in front of the optic, which to me, not only was it cheaper, but it also kept the aesthetics looks to it. So, strange thing about these Parker Mountain Machine IDRSs, you cannot buy them from their website. The only way that you can get them is if you purchase some slider work done from them. But you go over to C&H and you can buy this separately, and it's about $55. And they do recommend that with the using these with the industry standard 125, that you should be using a certain height sight, which I believe is 350. 350 is some pretty tall iron sights. I do use them on other Glocks, but I do also prefer having a smaller sight height. So with BattleWorks going 190 versus the 125, I was able to reduce the front sight from picking or choosing a 350 tall and going with a 185. So, which in this case I went with the Dawson Precision 285 Glock blacked out sights, which would get me on the right alignment with the Parker Mountain Machine IDRS. So. I definitely like this setup a lot. It looks very clean to me. You've got Trijicon reliability, durability, and proven performance. And on top of that, you have iron sights there if you need them. And as you can see there from the sight picture, the irons will fall very low onto the window of the miniature red dot sight. So I feel like they could be a little bit lower, but it definitely is not too intrusive into the window of the red dot sight. So if it's something that you are interested in getting, I'll go ahead and fire up the sight. Let's see. If I can get it to turn on. There we go. The dot obviously looks a lot bigger and compared to how your eye sees it due to the camera, but as you can see, that's what your dot would look like riding on top of your iron sights. And this RMRcc is the 6.5 MOA version. It is the red dot sight size that I do prefer for all my handguns. I do have two other RMR full-size RMRs in which I use the RM07 or 6.5 MOE reticle also. So do really like the setup. If it's something that you'd be interested in getting for yourself, definitely go check it out. BattleWorks for slide milling, RMRcc, along with Dawson Precision front sights. And just on a lasting note, I will say, with my experience in red dot sights, that between the RMRcc, the couple of full-size RMRs that I have, along with the HoloSun 508T and 509T, I have seen, at least for me, the larger window that you have, the easier and faster it is to pick up the red dot. So nothing that can't be fixed or corrected without training, but just something to keep in mind. When you go with the RMRcc, the smaller glass does make it a little bit slower to pick up if you haven't fully trained and committed to muscle memory in how you grip and how you present to get that red dot right on target. So 508T has a larger sight picture than the Trijicon RMR, and the 509T has an even larger sight picture. So kind of like how I feel about weapon lights. You should go as large as you can, with being able to carry comfortably or whatever it is that you're comfortable with. So I say that because I do see posts on the forums about using an RMRcc on a double stack frame like the G19, G17, or G34, and so on. But I would highly recommend that if you have a double stack frame, that you stick with using the full size RMR and save the RMRcc for the slimline series of Glocks or any other weapon system that would be considered slimline. So that is my review. Thank you very much for watching, and definitely appreciate your viewership. Have a good one.